Welcome to this new video. Today we're going to play a game that I discovered not long ago actually. It's called Townscaper. And I instantly fell in love with this game because look how beautiful it is. Like, the design is beautiful. We're going to build a cute little seaside town together, but we'll follow the 6 main rules of Camillo Sitte. And for those who don't know who Camillo Sitte is, basically he was an Austrian architect and urban planner who lived in the 19th century. And he wrote this book that is called The Art of Building Cities that I highly recommend if you're interested in urban planning. And so let's begin. And in this book, basically, we have 6 rules that we are going to say later. And we're going to follow these 6 rules to build our little town. So let's begin. So we're going to start a little bit like randomly at the beginning. This game is super cute because you can actually choose a color and then you just like tap and it creates automatically like a building with this color, and then you can pick like another one and it creates another building of another color. And I don't know, I think it's a very interesting game because you can create so many different things actually. Okay, so let's start. For example, we want to build a church here, and so let's go for example. And nope. Yep, okay, perfect. So we have this kind of church. I don't know if we can also do something like this. Yeah, it looks pretty cute. Cute. Okay, so basically, yeah, for example, we have this church here, and now we want to create a square on the front of this church, and so we have to consider the 4th rule of Camillo Sitte. And basically, since we are talking about a church, usually the squares for church kind of develop forward and not sideways. So basically we have to grow the square here, and to know how big should the square be, basically we know that the square should stretch forward at least as much as the height of the church front. So, for example, our church front is 1, 2, 3, 4. And so at least it should be 4 in front of the church. And it should never be more than twice than the height. So basically it should never be more than 8 in this case. So for example, we're gonna go with 4, the minimum. And we're going to create a square that is gonna be like this. Okay, for example, what is happening here? Okay, anyway, and now we should consider the third rule of Camillo Sitte, and basically says that the square should feel enclosed, an enclosed area. And so we're going to put the buildings all around, and at every corner there will be a street, so that the square feels enclosed, but at the same time it is not. And we're going to use a fan-shaped layout, so we don't break the flow of the outer line. And actually we could also use doors with big arches and multi-floor porticos to give, a sense of enclosure while still keeping the space easy to move through. So, for example, let's try. I'm going to remove this. Okay. For example, we are going to... So we need some streets, we said. So we're gonna have one here. One here. One here. And another one here. For example. And now we're going to build some buildings to feel a little bit like into an enclosed area. We're gonna change the color. We're gonna use this one. So for example, and now we're gonna use this one. Yep. And also some green. Like this. And now okay. Cute. See if I can do that. Nope, I can't. It's okay. And I was thinking of doing the same also here, but I don't know. It's super cute actually. And Yeah, or we can just leave it like, yeah, leave it like this. Cute. I want to make something like that. Oh wow, it's beautiful. Wow. Actually, this game is super fun to play. Like, you can create so many different things, so many different patterns. And so, this was the third rule of Camillo Sitte. And now we're going forward. But I actually don't like this sort of square. Nope. Yeah, maybe something like that. Yep. That's very cute. Okay, and let's go on with the other rules. Yep, so and then we should go on with the second rule. Basically, the second rule says to keep the center of the square empty, so people can actually enjoy the space, you know, so never put like monuments or churches or anything in the center of the square. And it also says that churches and other main buildings should not be placed like in the center of an empty space, and they always should be placed next to other buildings. In Italian we say addossato. Basically, for example, let's choose a color. I don't know. Let's go with the orange, or maybe with the green that we already used here. Is it the same green? Yes. So we should never leave, you know, this church alone. But I don't like this. Okay. Yeah, we should never leave this church alone, so we are going to kind of build other buildings next to it. Yeah, something like that. Yep. And this was the second rule. So leaving the empty space here in the center of the square, and never leaving the main buildings alone in an open space. And then also we have the fifth rule that I think is already here. And basically Camillo Sitte is absolutely against straight grids and strict regular shapes. He says that irregularity is beautiful because it shows how cities grew over the centuries. And it also says that our search for perfect symmetry has become a kind of illness in our time, and that it creates empty and lifeless cities. So basically, it loves irregularities, like this one, for example. So I think it is already inside of this game, like irregularities are part of this game. And it is something that I absolutely love about Townscapers. And then there is another rule, that is the last one. And basically it talks about groups of squares. He says that every important building front should have its own square. For example, let's try to recreate this in our little town. So for example, we have this square and we want to create another square here. And so, using all the rules that we already said, let's try to create another square. We could also kind of make this church a little bit bigger, maybe. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, so cute actually. I like it. And so let's create this square. Yep, something like that. Maybe I would use another color. Cutie. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Yep. And yep. So here we have another square that is a little bit different from the other one. Oh, cute. I love it. Oh no, what is it? But then it is higher than the church. I don't like it. Cute. Look how cute. It's beautiful. So this was the last rule of Camillo Sitte. And so now let's build a little bit more of this town using his 6 rules. I think I said all of them. Let's repeat them. So, the first one says that relationships between buildings, monuments, and squares should be proportional, and we did this here and here. Keep the center of the square open and empty, and we did this. The square should feel enclosed, and that's what we did. The size and shape of the square should match the building that face it. Of course, later we are going to build also a bigger building, and we're gonna build a bigger square, of course. Irregular shapes, just like in old historic squares, are beautiful. Yes, they are. I agree. And groups of squares connected together. Yes, here we have 2 squares. Okay, so these are the 6 different rules of Camillo Sitte, and thanks to these rules we can actually build beautiful cities and towns and squares and whatever we want, basically, and make them beautiful and proportional. So let's go on. Cute. Oh, we have a little table and chairs here. I love it. It's beautiful. Ooh. Yeah, but I don't really like it. Nope. Let's leave it like this. Yep. And so let's now go on. Okay. Let's now build a town hall square and a town hall facade and building, of course. So let's choose a color. I would probably go with a yellow or this sort of green. So usually these buildings are very large, have very large facades. So for example, weird. Yeah, maybe maybe something like that. So we have a very large facade here. Yep. Something like that. Nope. It's okay. Let's leave it like that. Okay, so basically what we have to put in relation in this case is the height of the building, that is 3, and the side size of the square, that should be minimum 3. So something like that. Yep. And so something like that. And so, yep. Here's what we have. And now let's create the streets. Dot. And now let's create the streets. Okay. And the buildings. Maybe we should choose another color. Let's go with yellow. Yep. And let's close the square also here. I think it's beautiful actually. What do you think? Nope, maybe not. Isn't it super cute actually? I'm falling in love with this place. I would absolutely live here. It's beautiful. And so this was the other square, the one that grows sideways. And yep, let's go on a little bit, building something else. For example, here we should have another street going out. Maybe it's a little bit too yellow. Should I change some colors here? Maybe I would go with a softer color. Like yeah, like this one. Oh, cute. And also here I'm going to change this color. Oh, so beautiful. But why? What happened here? Oh. Okay. I prefer it this way actually. And let's go on. I want to build also another little square here. But I would also love to like leave this part like this, with the sea that becomes part of this town. Yeah. So I'm going to build something here. Yeah, another small square, very small. Yep, and a small church here. Church or whatever it is, I mean. Ooh. What is this? to cute. Nope, I'm gonna leave it like this. I think I prefer it to be like this. Perfect. So, what do you think? I am absolutely in love with this place, actually. I wish I could live here. It's beautiful. So, I think that's it for today's video. But before I close the game and end the video, I want to show you something. Look how beautiful. You can also like change the time of the day and all the shadows like change, and I think it's beautiful. And also you can change from where the sun comes from. It's beautiful. And yeah, you can also set other things, like you can play also with these settings on, but I think this one is beautiful. And so that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this game, if you like it, if you want to try it, or if you already knew it. And also let me know if you want to see more gameplays like this one, because I was thinking of doing some more gameplays with Townscaper, but let me know. And thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!